Busy morning, busy last 12 hours, passing, just tweeting news at 5 o'clock in the morning. I woke up and like, what the hell happened? Didn't realize. And then this morning, the Sox get Walker Buehler. Sean Manaea is going back to the Mets. A couple days ago, we had Jesus Luzardo being traded to the Phillies, Paul Goldschmidt going to the Yankees. So yeah, we'll break it all down. And I've got to make a phone call during the Paul Goldschmidt segment. There's someone I'd like to talk to during that conversation. But this morning, Jake, the Boston Red Sox have signed Walker Buehler basically it's like they gave him the qualifying offer and he accepted it. That's pretty much what we're looking at here. Would I have loved to have had an option for a second year? Yes. But at the same time, love the idea of him just being healthy for 1 year, balling out and reaping the benefits of whatever that looks like. I'm going to look at this from two sides. We'll obviously have the conversation on section 10. I don't want to steal Coley's take, but I do agree with a take that he had, at least in the scoop shop, which was, do I like the Walker Buehler signing? Yes. Would I have rather have taken the money that we gave Walker Buehler and Patrick Sandoval and combined it to give to Corbin Burns? Also, yes. That makes sense to me. Would I rather have one Corbin Burns or two of Walker Buehler and Patrick Sandoval? I'm taking the one Corbin Burns. So that part, okay. But that's revisionist history. It's not happening, so we can move on and look at what they have done. And that is sign Sandoval to a 2-year deal at, I think it's like $18 million. And he'll be back for the second half. Like, this is the dude that, when healthy, can be a stud. Fine. That's a roll in the dice type deal. Walker Buehler, when healthy, can be a stud. You're also kind of rolling the dice there, but you're inserting pieces where, is Walker Buehler coming in here to be the opening day starter? Is he the ace? No, you got your ace. It's Garrett Crochet. You made the trade, so now everyone slides down a peg. You've got Tanner Houck, an all-star last year. You've got Brian Bayo, who they've already given an extension to, and they believe in the guy. Great changeup. Maybe between the ears still needs some work, but the potential certainly there. Everyone forgets the Red Sox signed Lucas Giolito because he didn't throw a pitch last year after an injury in spring training. So he now slots down, and then you add Walker Buehler. Like, if, I'm not saying Buehler is a number 5 starter, but it's somewhere in that territory with the guys that you've got. And then that makes Cutter Crawford a guy that can now slide into the bullpen, and he made 30 starts last year. So if and when someone gets hurt or whatever, you've got plenty of viable options with Sandoval waiting in the wings, and now Cutter Crawford being a guy that you took from a 30 start guy to a reliever. But he can certainly fill that role if you need him to. So I like the depth. There's not a ton of like, fuck you in there, but there is a decent amount of like, hey, we could get, if things go well, we've got like 4 or 5 fucking guys that can make 30 starts.
So you know what this, the initial implication for me was a lot of, this smells like the 2021 Giants, the potential for what happened with the Giants when they took the Flyers on Gossman and they took the Flyers on Alex Wood, and they got outstanding performances from both of those individuals. That helped pave the way for Logan Webb to turn into the ace that he was molding into. And that allowed them to sort of lean on or create that depth. And when I say depth, I mean just viable options in the rotation where they didn't have before. And now it feels like that's something that the Red Sox are moving towards, where Sandoval more of the depth piece here, obviously, because you can only account for about half the season in the 2025 campaign. What will 26 look like? And I think Walker Buehler, to your point about having an opportunity now to just show the world he's healthy and pitch the way he's capable of, that gives you 2 options off the bat, really 1.5, because you got half the year accounted for in Sandoval. But when you start to look at the rest of the rotation, I mean, the Red Sox did a fairly decent job of eating innings. I mean, they're roughly middle of the pack as far as the rotation is concerned.
They had 3 guys make 30 starts last year.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe the starting rotation for the Red Sox accumulated exactly 1 more out than the starting rotation for the Athletics. That says more about the Athletics getting their shit together than it does about the Red Sox floundering or anything. The idea is they're plugging guys in who can help that. And if they're healthy, if they continue to trend healthily in the right direction. So, I would agree with the take from Coley, but I think, if you would have got the option for Buehler, then it's a little easier digestible.
Sure. Like if you're going to come here and,
give us an option to retain you.
Yeah, like be back to being a Walker Buehler in that 1 year. It's like, sure, like I would love to take that on the 1 year, but like let's roll it back, because we were the team that,
and the Giolito thing, that's the third wheel in this is what does that bounce back look like as well? Because when healthy, I think you've got three guys that you really like in terms of being viable rotation options. If you could pencil those guys in, each one of them for 25 plus starts, I think you'd be happy about that. But that's good. That's a big question mark. That is a big question mark right now.
Yeah.
My question is, what do we think the situation was with the Dodgers? So it's obviously not even close to a qualifying offer that they were giving Buehler, or maybe it was.
Well, I mean, the Dodgers got they got fucking 8 starters already, and plus Sasaki.
But but what I'm saying is, Joe, was the offer just so low that Buehler was like, look, I would love to stick around and I would love to, I can't do that. Yeah. I can't take 12 mil. I can't do that.
Yeah. That, and even if he did go back to the Dodgers, there wouldn't even be a guarantee that he's in the starting rotation. He probably wouldn't be. I mean, I guess, he's going to start over Dustin May.
Well, that's where what does this all look like? Right. Because having Walker Buehler there would be a part of what I would call the friendly competition that incites itself when you have arms that have question marks around them, say 3 that we've just mentioned, and they don't have anybody sort of pushing them to get healthy or pushing them to perform. Then does that take a little longer than if you did have guys who are like, look, I finished the year last year healthy on the mound. I'm ready to go. What do you got? If that guy's gone, does that now give the other two a little more cushion, a little more room to like slowly bounce back as opposed to being pushed because the third guy here, he's ready to roll. So I need to get my shit together.
Yeah. I love the fact that it's, you went, I don't know. Red Sox fans are scarred by this. If you're Dallas Braden and you're an A's guy and you see the top of our rotation features 3 homegrown guys that we believe in. Traditionally, that's a good thing. That's a good thing for you. The A's have a long history of being able to develop pitchers. As a Red Sox fan, last year when we're rolling out Houck, Bayo, Cutter is like the 1, 2, 3, and they're all homegrown guys, I'm looking at it being like, I don't know if I like that. We haven't been able to develop pitching since John Lester. That was 2006. He was drafted in 2002, made his debut in 2006. Throwing Clay Buchholz debuted. That was 2007. So it's been a long time since the Red Sox have been able to be like, we drafted this guy, we developed this guy, and he's a top of the rotation guy. So it just feels different to me to go into a season being like, yeah, Houck is there. He was an all-star last year. Bayo, they believed in him enough to give him the extension. But the name, I guess, equity of Buehler, Giolito, Crochet, it just feels so much better. Like I feel safer going into the season knowing these are guys.
To your point, I'm experiencing a little bit of that same vibe, a little similar vibe, maybe not as strongly. And that's because I truly do believe in the guys that are knocking on the door in terms of being present daily in the rotation, like a guy like JT Ginn. But when you throw a Severino in there and you throw, even with the, shortened career and the injuries that he dealt with, Jeffrey Springs, you're like, okay, all right, this is a little different because now that allows JP Sears, who's been a stalwart the last 2 years, taking the ball every time out, gives him an opportunity to maybe take a step back in terms of the load of responsibility he might feel, and allows him to just go attack, just go be the dude. You're going to take the ball 33 times.
We need to get JP Sears on the podcast, by the way. We have to have a conversation.
Done deal. He would love to.
We got to talk something out.
We would love to. You want me to call him right now?
Yeah. Yeah. Send him a text. Be like, well, I don't know that it's like an announcement. Like we're going to go to spring training. I think we're doing Florida and Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just plant the seed.
Okay.
JP Sears, baseball is dead. Spring training. When? You tell us.
Okay.
We'll have that conversation on the air. But anyways, the Red Sox signed Walker Buehler. Jake, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's no disrespect to the 30-star boys, but having a couple guys in there like Crochet and Buehler definitely makes me feel a lot more comfortable going into the year. Not, like you said, not those big fuck you signings that I think would be like, oh, the Red Sox are back, but definitely a step in the right direction. So happy about that.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like, do I feel better about having Walker Buehler replace Nick Pivetta? Yep. I use the word safer. I'll use it again. Do I feel safer with Buehler, Crochet, Giolito than I did last year with a bunch of homegrown guys that, you know, we don't do that here. We don't produce good starting pitchers here. It's not what we do. Hitters, position players, shortstops, we got them. Outfielders, yep. So yeah, I just feel better about it. Jay, hey, do you have a take to the contrary?
No, my immediate reaction, I mean, you hit the Pivetta thing. My immediate reaction to this was that, you know, Corbin Burns pursuits aside, that seems like an ownership thing to me. The Craig Breslow front office side of this sequence where you issue Pivetta the qualifying offer, he declines, setting you up for a potential pick, and then basically paying a qualifying offer amount to bring in Walker Buehler is, to me, something this rotation benefits from. That is a great sequence that is a very good sequence for the Red Sox. I think there's I think it's okay to simultaneously think that it's fine that the Dodgers basically let Buehler walk, and also fine / good that the Red Sox brought him aboard. I like kind of the kind of variability that Walker Buehler provides this rotation because of all the other pitchers that you outlined that are available to them and the presence of a legitimate frontline guy in Crochet. And I think Houck, for the place that he is as well, is in that class. So yeah, I really like it. I think it'll be interesting to see what Walker Buehler has over the course of what should be a full, healthy 2025 season. But I think it's a good bit of GMing and roster kind of management from the Red Sox.
And I would say what I would say, Jay, and look, I'm not going to pretend to be able to speak to, I mean, let me rewind. I can speak to it. I'm not going to harp on the Red Sox and their willingness to spend or how much they're going to spend. But I'll say this. I understand what it's like to watch front offices operate under certain pretenses. They have protocol they have to follow. They have caps. They have ceilings that they cannot burst through. And so they have to figure out how to operate in certain lanes. And I think initially, with all of the talk and the hype about willingness to spend and change things from ownership is where that came from. Right, Jared?
Yes.
And then
I just tweeted this. I don't know if this kind of aligns with what you're saying, Dallas, but I said, I love the addition of Walker Buehler, but the Red Sox is still yet to open up the wallet in a big way. That's an ownership issue, not a Craig Breslow issue.
Yes.
To me, Breslow has proven a lot so far this winter that he's going to find a way, with or without the big spend. But
so what I was going to say, you're right. What I was going to say is Craig. Like I know Craig, motherfucker's smart. He's not just sitting there going, all right, well, what now? What do I do? He is Mr. Contingency, if you will, in my opinion. He is laying out the moves that they could potentially make if this happens. If we can go this route, this is what we'd like to do. If we can go this route, this is what we'd like to do. And to Coley's point about how do we not take that money and put it together and go get that dude, I think there's probably still parameters that he's operating under in terms of commitments that are probably impacting that conversation. And that's why the ultimate pivot at the end here is going to be, does a Teoscar Hernandez, does an Alex Bregman, are those guys in the future?
So that's where I was going with that is, okay, I agree with Coley's point. Would you rather spend the money on Sandoval Buehler or take that same money to get Burns? You'd rather get Burns. Okay, that's fine. That's not what happened.
But what if a Sandoval and Buehler, though, with a Bregman, now are you okay with that?
That's where I'm going.
So that's,
yeah.
Okay,
so
well, that's where I'm going.
The point is, anyone that said, all right, that's great. Like you can like the Walker Buehler signing, which I do, and still say, well, I mean, it's a 1 year, $21 million deal. Like you still didn't do the big thing. Like you still, where's full throttle? Like you still said like, they were talking a big game during the Juan Soto sweepstakes. And since then you've signed a rehabbing Patrick Sandoval and a bounce back candidate in Walker Buehler. That's been your pivot. We talked about the Yankees pivot. The Red Sox pivot has been much less, I think, aggressive, and I don't know if effective is the right word, but there's more of a guarantee in what you're going to get from the Yankees guys that they did, and we're going to get they've continued. They signed Paul Goldschmidt. We're going to talk about that too. But if they sign Alex Bregman, then does that change the narrative? Absolutely, because you're not going to get Bregman on like a 3-year high AAV deal. Like if he's fielding offers of 7 years, then the Red Sox are going to have to get a little bit uncomfy. And they said, when Breslow first got hired, he's like, yeah, like we're not going to be afraid to make the big trade or get uncomfortable. And there's no financial restrictions. I think I need to be careful with how I word this. I think that the Alex Bregman sweepstakes, it's not taking time because there's a lack of interest. He has a handful of teams that are, interested in his services, that are in or around the commitment that he's looking for. But I think he's really taking his time to make a serious decision. Like this is his, it may not be his last contract, but like this is the last big one, like this is my career here. And no disrespect to a guy like Javi Baez or maybe a Chris Bryant, but where you take that, like, it's not just like, oh, I'm going to take the most years, the most money, and like I'll be fine because look at the back of my baseball card. I think where you go matters. I think it does take you on a different path. The butterfly effect, ballpark matters. The atmosphere that you play in, especially guys like the aforementioned Baez and Bryant. When you come from all we know is winning environment, and then you go somewhere where you don't have that anymore, do you believe that you're going to be the same player? So those are questions that you have to ask yourself. It's not just about who offers me the most money.
I think there's a world, Jared, where individuals, and this kind of goes into how I've laid out guys who get paid and guys who don't. There could be something to the reason you want to win the World Series is to win the World Series, to be the world champion. And then after that, what comes with winning the World Series. Should you be in line for a payday is a nice payday. So if you can parlay the World Series into a nice payday for yourself, do you feel like you've won at the game? Like you've beat the game, haven't you? You're a world champion and you got paid. Like if you have Hall of Fame aspirations, then no, you haven't beaten the game yet. But in terms of like plugging a video game in and achieving everything you need to do, you got your money, you got your championship. What else do you want if you're that type of player? And the answer might be, I'm all good. So if I need to go play baseball in Detroit for the next decade because I won the World Series, so be it. I'll take the money. If I need to go stand in left field in Colorado for the next 7 years because I won the World Series, great. I'll take my money. And now Alex Bregman is saying, look, I've been to the mountaintop multiple times. I have a championship under my belt. I want to do that again. He has two. Yeah. I want to do that again. More and more and more. And everything about Alex Bregman that you've heard in terms of diligence, work ethic, desire to be great does not line up with things that we have seen from Chris Bryant or Javi Baez. I don't have Chris Bryant and I don't have Javi Baez keeping the fucking gym open until 2 a.m. hitting. I don't have that happening. I know that about Alex Bregman
right now has never been more motivated. Like he's seeing and hearing everything that people are saying about like, oh, well, like the decline in this and the age that, like whoever ends up getting Bregman, I'm not saying he's coming here. I don't know. but whoever gets him is probably going to get the best version of Bregman that we've seen in quite some time.
Go ahead, Jay.
No, I'm going to pivot. So D, if you've got something to say on Bregman, I want you to.
I was just going to say, I think that Bregman is, he is ready and he is positioned to show that he handled the plight, and I call it a plight because it was a struggle for anybody involved in that scandal. It was a struggle to figure out how they were going to live life in the baseball world after that. How do I process this? Am I going to chirp back at the ones yelling at me? Am I just going to take it on the chin, keep my head down, keep playing baseball? You want to call me a motherfucker? I'm the motherfucker. Call me a cheater. I'm the cheater. I'll keep moving. Because I remember talking to Brady a couple years after that happened. And I was just checking in on him. Hey, man, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And he said, just want to get back to playing ball, man. You know me. You know how competitive I am. I just want to get back to playing baseball. And that even in that response, it showed me like he's taking accountability. He's not pushing back. He's let you fire your arrows. You've thrown your punches, and he's just continued to try to play the game.
Right.
And now on the other side of this, like I said, I don't know, like, because Correa, and I don't know that there's been a guy who has been squarely under the microscope as much as those two have that has handled it better than Bregman.
Just to wrap up, like the Buehler side of this, at least from my end, like Jared, something you said struck me, and like the talk of the pivot, where like the Yankees pivot and the Red Sox pivot is always going to be compared, and it is being compared right now. Maybe I misunderstood what you said. I resist the idea that the Red Sox pivot has been in any way less impressive or responsive than the Yankees. I know the Yankees included the big $200 million ticket item, but like in terms of outlay and how the team was improved, like to me, Garrett Crochet is as significant of an investment in a different way in a lot of ways, and is a better pitcher in my mind, or at least a guy I would rather have fronted, like the upside of Garrett Crochet, I personally would rather have moving forward. And like, I know the Yankees includes Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt, so you've got these names. To me, Walker Buehler is exactly like, is like signing a Paul Goldschmidt. To me, like that's, what are we guaranteed with Paul Goldschmidt? And we'll get to that in a second, but like
it's the one name you haven't mentioned. I think Devin Williams is the scale tipper in terms of
and that's fine. And the Red Sox off season is not over, as you guys just got to with Bregman and all that stuff. I just think I think they are equivalent pivots for the situations that those teams found themselves in. And I know you guys have talked about this on Section 10, and I know that some portion of the fan base views it as a crutch that the team has been using. But I do think the presence of Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell on the verge of the major leagues, and by some statistical projections, possibly 3 of the 4 best offensive players that the Red Sox will field in 2025, is a legitimate reason to not overextend yourself necessarily if the fit isn't overly strong. And the Yankees don't have those types of players forcing their way to the big leagues right now necessarily. And I think that is a differentiating factor in terms of relative desperation or relative need to make that free agent sort of push.
You know what sells me on that, Jay Hay? Lock Crochet up. Now I'll hear you.
Yes.
I'll hear you.
I think
now
that
I'll
is
hear you.
Yes.
Because from there, because now I can see it, because now I'm living in a world where I have a healthy Sandoval in 26, and I also have Crochet for the next 5-7 years as well. So I see your Fried signing, and I'll match you, or I'll call you with the Crochet extension and a healthy Sandoval after that. And now let's make moves.
Yep. I'm with you. That's 100% the correct take. How you offset, I guess, the quantity over quality aspect of it, because the Yankees are they've added more players than the Red Sox have, is the quality of taking the Garrett Crochet trade and taking it one step further by locking him up.
That has to happen.
Big. Yep.
That happens, and now we're dancing in the same fucking dance.
There you go.
And you got,
we can
Chapman.
All right.
You don't want to talk about Chapman, whatever.
No, I don't.
Joe.